Well, Judge Brennan, now sitting on the bench of the 53rd District, she did not have to decide in People versus Kowalski whether or not a confession would or would not be heard by a jury because, see, she had an out, calmer waters that she could have gone to, so to speak. 4 days before the trial, the defense received word of an alleged romantic relationship between lead detective Sean Furlong, who elicited the confession from their client, now charged with double homicide, and Judge Brennan. Judge Brennan sat right there on the bench and lied through her teeth. "We're just friends," she said. I had a mentor in law school, a brilliant woman, and she said, "I've never seen a wrongful conviction that could not have been prevented. And I have looked at every turn to find her wrong, but I cannot. Because, see, Brennan lied sitting there on the bench. She lied again in her chambers. And both times, the assistant prosecuting attorney, Moss, Maas is her last name, would later admit that, well, she knew that they were friends, that there was a rumor of an affair. And finally, Sean Furlong, the detective, would come out and say, "Moss knew that we had a romantic relationship. Everybody knew. The district attorney knew." And eventually, Judge Brennan's husband, Donald Don Root, would find out. But before that happened, Judge Brennan presided over Jerome Kowalski's murder case. Kowalski's family and friends stood behind him. No murder weapon was found. The motive, they felt like, was weak. According to the state, Kowalski, a retiree of General Motors, was jealous of his brother because his brother was more affluent, more successful. And so one of Kowalski's former neighbors said that she noticed that Judge Brennan seemed very indecisive during that murder trial and that she often ruled for the state. Not only did Judge Brennan allow a confession that, in my opinion, has a lot of red flags to it, but she denied the defense's motion to allow an expert on false confessions to testify on the defendant's behalf. And remember, the first lie has been told, and present for that lie was assistant prosecuting attorney in this double homicide. This prosecuting attorney, Moss, she would later admit to skinny dipping in Judge Brennan's pool with other co-workers, including Detective Sean Furlong. Judge Brennan would eventually admit to the gathering, but said that she got into the pool with her clothes on and her clothes off. But like I said, she's told the first lie, and she told it from the bench. So the fix was in for this defendant, in my opinion, without an expert there to testify about the red flags of what may be a false confession. There was no way that the defense team was going to get around that confession with the jury. A confession, no matter how faulty, is hard to get around with an appellate court. And no surprise, Jerome Kowalski, with a case that should have been weak, no murder weapon ever found, a weak motive, no fingerprints, nothing, was convicted of double homicide, and Judge Brennan sentenced him to life in prison. Kowalski's conviction is not the end of this story, however, it's actually the beginning. So stay tuned for part 3.